Yes, good. We're good. So, hello. Here we are back again at the Cancer Support Community. I'm all by my lonesome today. My students couldn't make it today. It is the day before Thanksgiving, and a lot of people have a lot of things to do. This is a great day to do Tai Chi Cha, though, because wow, if anything that we do culturally that causes us to be more collectively crazy, I don't know what it is other than Thanksgiving. Maybe Christmas. That's a lot crazier than Thanksgiving. So it's great, great, great to spend a little time just feeling our feet touching the ground and being where our feet are. How often in life do you feel, just take a moment to stop and feel your feet touching the ground and literally let yourself simply be where your feet are, right? Right. So that's why we're here today. That's what we're up to when we're doing Tai Chi Cha. And by the way, as usual, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jessica Lewis, and I'm the founder of a company called Sculpt Your Life. And you can find me very, very easily if you Google me. You can Google Jessica Lewis, you can Google Sculpt Your Life, some combination of the two, and up I will pop. But if you want to find the website specifically, and you want to go out and look for that, I do spell the website a little bit differently than you might expect. The name of the company is spelled Sculpt Your Life, spelled the way you'd expect it. But the website is a little bit different because, frankly, almost 20 years ago when I went to buy the domain, the standard way of spelling Sculpt Your Life was already taken. So I got a little funky with it. So it's www.sculpt, SCULPT, spelled just like you'd expect it to be spelled. But then the next part is URLIFE.com, sculptyourlife.com. Okay. And there you will find that I am not only a Tai Chi Cha instructor, but I'm also a master personal trainer and a nutritional counselor. And the reason why I do all three, because sometimes it can be a little crazy making, juggling all that information up there, or working with someone in all three capacities, is because it's been my experience both in my own life and my own body and working with a lot of clients that any health goal can be reached if one simply dials in the way they move, the way they eat, and the way they relax. Basically, being as healthy and well as you can possibly imagine all comes down to moving well, eating well, and relaxing well. It's kind of like we're all sitting on a three-legged stool. And you know, when you're sitting on a three-legged stool, you can kind of shorten up one of the legs and still sit there. You start to lean, but you can still sit there. But if you whoop one leg away, you're going to fall over. So that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it. But when we're here, pretty much every other week, we do Tai Chi Cha. Now, it's true that I'm accredited to teach three different styles of Tai Chi, but 99.9999999% of the time I teach Tai Chi Cha because, frankly, between you and me, it's my favorite. I love it. By far, I think it's the most fun and the easiest Tai Chi style of all. There's so much research on Tai Chi Cha specifically, although, of course, all the research that applies to Tai Chi in general, there's so many different kinds of Tai Chi practices also apply to Tai Chi Cha, but I think Tai Chi Cha is the bomb. So, without further ado, let's just sort of get into it. Now, one of the distinctions between Tai Chi Cha and pretty much all the other styles of Tai Chi is that rather than moving from moment 1 to moment 45 or however many minutes you're practicing solidly all the way through one long flow, in Tai Chi Cha, there are moments in which you actually come to rest. So we actually flow from and then back to a completely motionless position in between each movement. And what I love about that is that it gives you an opportunity, again, to feel your feet touching the ground and simply be where your feet are. Because in life, we never do that, right? So let's find the most natural, comfortable, physical rest position for you, okay? And in fact, let's do a little Qigong to find that, okay? Put your feet in sort of a comfortable V shape where your heels are a little closer than your toes. Whatever works for you is fine, okay? And then just lengthen the knees. And you might find yourself either shifting forward into the balls of the feet or backwards into the heels. And then let them be soft. And you might feel your weight suddenly spreading out across the soles of your feet. Let's do that again. We're going to lengthen the knees and soften the knees. We're looking for the magic spot for your knees where they are soft rather than rigid and extended. And when they are in that magic spot, that magic position, your weight suddenly feels like it is completely spread out across the soles of both your feet. So let's do it again. And then again, you might even feel yourself expanding here and then contracting a little bit. Now let's get the hands involved. Just pretend there's a little a puppeteer up there and you're a marionette and he's literally going to pull your wrists up with a string on each wrist. So here we go. Expand as the wrists rise, and then let the hands just float down to rest. Let's do it again. Nice. Again, we're looking for the sweet spot where the palms feel as if they're simply resting on an invisible countertop. Let's do it again. So this is my most natural, neutral rest position right here. Did you find yours? Good. So while you're in that position, let's do a little good old-fashioned mindfulness with my singing bowl. Okay. Feel your body at rest. Just feel the motionlessness of the external body while you're in this position. And then do a little shallow dive, not a deep dive, a little shallow dive inside with your mind's eye, or with your awareness, if you will. And just begin to notice a certain aspect of anything that's going on in there that you normally pay no attention to at all. It could be your breathing. It could be the sensation of your feet touching the ground. It could be anything. It could be your Kegel muscles. See if they're tense. I often do that actually because I have a pelvic floor injury to my left hip. Okay, so here we go. We're going to just look at that spot mentally. Shift our awareness from the monkey mind up here to that spot somewhere inside as we call the bell. Here we go. And if your mind wanders, if thoughts just pop up, don't stress it. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with that. That's just how the human mind works. See if you can resist the urge to judge yourself. And just try not to follow the thought. Thank your mind for sharing and redirect your attention to the spot you've chosen. I didn't want to leave you hanging there for too long. One of the reasons why people choose to practice Tai Chi is because they love the idea of mindfulness, but they just can't sit still long enough for it. So Doing Tai Chi Chuan is like ninja mindfulness. It's moving mindfulness, actually. It's been qualified as moving mindfulness by a bunch of really important medical organizations. So I'm not just talking trash here, it's the truth. Uh, but I do always like to do a little bit of good old fashioned silent standing or seated mindfulness before and after my practice because it gives me immediate visceral feedback on the state of my heart. You know, what's going on in there? Am I really stressed out? And the other thing that's cool about doing it both before and after the practice is always, 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 this is universally the case for me. After my practice, I'm very obviously more relaxed than I was before. And I can tell when I'm doing my mindfulness after. So feel the body at rest. And since it's just the live stream and me today, I'm going to mirror. So if I move this hand, you're going to move your left. But also, just so you know, if I move this hand and you move this foot, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not a big deal. Don't judge yourself. And there's no such thing as Tai Chi Chuan police. No one's going to come and take you away. All Tai Chi Chuan is good, and it just keeps getting gooder. Okay? All right, so feel the body at rest. And we're going to begin with rocking motion. You're going to step out with your left foot. And you're going to send your weight to the rear of the body. And then you're going to let your weight float forward and a little bit up. And float back. And a little bit up at the end there too. It's like your entire center of gravity is shifting back and then shifting forward. But look at this from the side. The reason why you're flowing a little bit up on both ends of the weight shift is just because the knees lengthen. And then there's that magic softness in the middle. So feel your weight just shifting forward and feel your weight just shifting back. And when you absolutely get to the balls of the feet, just lengthen the knees and the heels just peel themselves. Get to the heels, lengthen the knees, and the toes just peel themselves. I'm not lifting them. Because the best way to do Tai Chi Chuan is with the effort of no effort at all. Isn't that funny? Another funny thing about Tai Chi Chuan. When was the last time someone told you, you know, you are never going to get any good at that thing you're trying to do if you don't stop working so hard? Really? Whoever said that to you about anything? But I'm telling you, that's the best way to do Tai Chi Chuan. Less is more with some things, but even less is even more with Tai Chi Chuan. See if you can just feel yourself being moved about by the wind, or maybe the currents of some nice warm water you happen to find yourself in up to your neck. I'm going to face you again. We're going to do just a couple more repetitions of this. And on this last one, we're going to head back the direction we came from. So we're going to go a little bit to your right and a little bit up, and then just float back down to rest. Feel the body resting for just a moment. And then we're going to get ready for bird flaps its wings. Just put the hands together. It's like you're praying, only they're down here, and then you give them a little space. Okay? And then just let the body sink. And as it sinks, the hands simply move out of the way. It's like you have tiny little bird wings just from the elbows down, and they're just flapping out there. Now draw a circle in the air with the tips of your wings. Now that was one set of 3. We're going to do 2 whole sets more of 3, and that way we'll come up with 9 repetitions. Let's do it together. Here we go. Sink and flip the little bird wings. It's the only time you can ever flip someone the bird, and it's not a rude gesture. Now you're going to draw a circle in the air just with the tips of your wings, a single circle. You see it? Now let's do one more set. See if you feel your weight naturally just shifting to the balls of the feet here, and the heels just peel themselves off the ground. Here comes the circle. And then simply float back down to rest. Feel the softness of your knees so that your weight is really spread out across the soles of both your feet. You might even feel your tailbone tucking under a little bit. I'm going to step back into the side here so you can see what I'm about to do. We're going to set up the forward-backward movements, okay, that have one leg out. We've gone forward and backward already, but not with one leg out. So here's how you do it. You sink down a little lower, and the tailbone might even feel like it's tucking a little bit more. And then we're going to shift all the weight to the right leg. And by the way, when I turn sideways, I don't mirror you. And then when all your weight is in the right, you're just going to extend the left knee, which should be a completely effortless thing to do because all your weight's on the right. And we're going to do around the platter. So it's as if there's an invisible platter up here about the height of your heart. And the hands are going to be at the back of the platter. It's like there's a little ball of energy under each hand and the balls are on the platter. So as we flow into that extended leg, the hands are going to float out over the front of the lip of the platter. And as we flow back, they're going to flow back too. And we're just going to flow forward to that rear leg is completely elongated and the heel will peel itself off the ground. And then the reverse is true of the front leg. And even more importantly, you might feel some expansion here in your belly, right in front of your pelvis. Let's do a couple more. Typically we do 9 repetitions of each move, but sometimes we do 3 sets and sometimes the sets have 3 pieces. This was our last one. So just stand up on the rear leg. It kind of pulls everything together for you. And let's do the other side. Here we go. We're going to sink down, shift all the way to the left leg now so the right leg can extend and the hands come up to the back of the platter. And here we go. From the side, you may be able to see that when I flow forward, my belly kind of expands and the curve of my back gets a little curvier. And when I flow back, here, let me show you. My belly kind of contracts and the curve of my back gets a little flatter. See if you feel that too. That's actually probably the most important part of the Tai Chi Chuan movement right there, that expansion and contraction. It's sort of an energetic heart that resides somewhere in the bowl that is your pelvis. Did you know the pelvis is shaped like a bowl? Let's do 2 more. And last one. And float back down to the soles of the feet. I'll just show you what's going on with the pelvis. All right, so here's the way the pelvis is shaped when you're standing, so the femur can hang straight down from the socket. When you're sitting, it sort of goes like that and the tailbone tucks under, but that's also what happens. Let me see if I can get this out of the way so you can see it. That's also what happens when you sink down a little bit. The tailbone tucks. And then when you shift all your weight over to one leg, in fact, let's go ahead and do that. You're going to tuck the tailbone a little bit more and then shift over. And then let your empty left leg extend. And as we flow forward and back, what's going to happen with the pelvis is it's going to do this. And then this. And then this. And then this. And if there's a little ball of energy down here, your energetic heart, the Chinese call it the dantian, see how it expands, it gets bigger and contracts. And the whole rest of the body just sort of follows along for the ride there. So let's see if we can make or notice what's going on in the body when we allow that to happen. Rather than making it happen, let's allow it to happen and feel it. Here we go, sinking down, shifting to the right, extending the left leg. We're going to do a variation on around the platter. Here we go. Just in front of the left shoulder, since the left leg is out, you simply lift the fingers. It's as if there's a ball of energy between the hands, and you just guide the ball up to the front edge of the platter, or just show it the front edge. It will drop off on its own. Feel the dantian expanding and contracting. We're going to do this. Sixth one is going to be our last one. Soles of the feet. Feel them touching the ground. I'm going to show you the other side from the front. Sinking down, shifting to your left leg this time. And just in front of the right shoulder, there's that variation in the hand positioning. Nice. Notice how I only did 6 reps of this movement on the other side. This practice is very customizable, so you don't have to do all 9. Let's do one more. I think we'll call this 6. In an effort to get through all the movements today, I might cut down the number of reps in each set. Now let's do a movement called bass drum. Let's sink down, shift over to your right so your empty left leg can extend, and the hands are going to come up to about chest height and about shoulder width apart. And as you flow forward, the hands are going to flow down and then back up and around like a big old high school marching band bass drum. It's almost as if it's magically hanging off your shoulders here, just like you were in the marching band. Let's do one more. Feel the body at rest for just a moment. And I'll do the second side from the side. Here we go. Sinking down and shifting to your left so your empty right leg can extend, and here we go. Another really important principle in Tai Chi Cha is circularity. So these are all the sort of the principles of movement. The first is expansion, contraction, flowing from the dantian. The next is circularity. And in all the Tai Chi Chuan movements, at least one body part is drawing circles in the air. Obviously, this is a very clear one. Let's do one more. Feel the feet touching the ground. Nice. Let's do daughter on the mountaintop. We'll begin by sinking down and to your right, so your empty left leg can extend, and just turn the palms over at the bottom. And as you flow forward, the hands rise as if they're going to clap, but then they miss each other at the top and they just fall. They're still in the same position they'd be in if they were going to clap, only the backs of the hands are facing each other. If you want to get really precise about it, when they cross, no matter which foot is out, the left hand stays closer to the body. Let's do one more. I'll do the other side from the side. Let's sink down and shift to your left this time. So your empty right leg can extend, and here we go. Even though I switched feet, I don't switch hands. So the left hand is still closer to the body. Did you notice this is almost an unzipping your jacket kind of gesture we're making with the hands? Just stash that in the back of your mind for a minute. Let's do one more. Soles of the feet. Feel them touching the ground. And while you're doing that, you'll be where your feet are. Now we're going to do daughter in the valley. And this is one of the only places in which we have a rule about not needing to worry about which order you do the movements in. We break the rule. If you do one daughter, you should do the other one right afterwards. So, and you'll see why. It's like the complement to daughter on the mountaintop. Here we go. We're going to sink down and shift to your right. So the empty left leg can extend and the hands come up to about where they were for bass drum, only facing out. And as you glide forward, the hands come together and rise. And as you glide back, they fall. I'm going to show you from the side. See them rising as the dantian expands and falling as it contracts. It pulls them down. And you're zipping the jacket back up again. Let's do one more. And let's do the other side. Sinking down and shifting to your left this time. So your empty right leg can extend. And here we go. Flowing from the center. Using the principle of circularity, which also, of course, incorporates softness and continuity. Let's call this number 6. Feel your feet touching the ground. Nice. I'm going to skip over, carry the ball to the side, because that's a side-to-side movement. And I'm going to do the last couple of forward-backward movements for you here. Let's do push-pull. So here we go. Sink down and shift over to your right. So you can extend the empty left leg. The hands come up to the shoulders. And here we go. We're just allowing the hands to move out and back. It's like the push of no push, because I'm not using effort, and the pull of no pull. I'll show you from the side. And we're still moving in circles here. It's just a mushed circle. It's like an elliptical shape rather than a traditional circle. Just let the hands rise and turn around and then fall and turn around. Let's do one more. Down to the soles of the feet. And let's do the other side. And here we go. In this movement, there's lots of movements where you can really see it, but you can really see another principle of movement in push-pull. We always say that the best position for the wrists almost all the time during Tai Chi Chai is what we call open. It's as if you're encountering some resistance on the way out, and it causes the fingers to kind of flow back a little bit behind the heels of the hands. Let's call this 5. And last one, 6, I think. Soles of the feet. Notice this is the same position This open palm position is when your hands are at rest, right? So I'm just going to turn the palms over here so you can see the position they're in. They're like this, right? This actually is a very important hand gesture. It's common to all ancient practices, including Christianity, for Pete's sake. I mean, have you ever noticed how the priests are up at the altar like this all the time, right? If you have any question about what the shape of your hands are when you have the open palm, the open wrist, the open fingers, just put your hands softly around the face of someone you love, including you, I hope. And then move your hands away and you'll see it, right? So there's meridians running throughout the entire body. We know this to be true, actually. About 10 years ago, the entire meridian system was mapped out with contrast dye and imaging, and they discovered that all those ancient Chinese charts were 100% accurate. Anyway, meridians running throughout the whole body, including really important meridians running down your arm. So if that's a garden hose, just imagine that the water will flow very freely when your hands are in this position. In fact, it'll just trickle down over your fingers like that. If your hand is in this position, the water will still flow, only not quite so freely. But if your hand's in this position, it's like you put a kink in the garden hose. So 99.99% of the time when we're doing Tai Chi, the hands are like this. Okay. That being said, let's do pulling in the energy, the last truly forward-backward movement before we do some side to side. So let's sink down, shift over to your right, let your empty left leg extend, and now the hands are underneath that same platter we've already been using. Look, open palm. Here we go. This is a very receptive movement. How often in life do you find that you're more willing to give to others than you are to yourself, right? Women are especially guilty of that. I know I am. I'm a natural caregiver. I wouldn't be a lifestyle coach, right? But just allow all the energy that's always out there to flow into your body when you're doing this movement, into every little nook and cranny of your body, through each one of your fingertips. You can even think of them as 10 little straws. We're going to call this next one 6. Down to the soles of the feet we go. If you want to get real traditional about it, there's actually a little visualization that goes along with this movement. We always say, imagine energy from the most distant star flowing into your body through each one of your fingertips. But that's kind of esoteric for some people. So I always say, if that doesn't make any sense, just go outside on a sunny day and do this. And you'll feel the sunlight on your hands. And just remember that we're not too different from plants. We actually make energy from sunlight. Let's do one more. In that one way, we're not too different from plants. In other ways, we're very different from plants. Nice. Now let's move on to some of the side-to-side movements. We'll start with carry the ball to the side. I love that one because it's so obviously the case that you're drawing circles in the air, okay? So here we go. We're going to sink down and we're going to shift to your right again, but now we're going to actually turn the upper body. And you're going to know that that happened if suddenly one of your shoulders goes back and the other one comes forward. Let's go back up to center and back down to where you want to be. It's almost like you're sort of corkscrewing down. Let's go back up and back down. Good. So whichever shoulder is in the back, put that hand up. And then put the other hand in front of it. And look, it's the same ball you were holding when you did carry around the platter variation, right? Now, you're going to have an empty heel. It's probably your left. So just let it sneak away from the body to the side rather than forward. And then we're just going to flow into that leg. And then flow back into your right leg. And look at the nice circle your hands are drawing in the air here. We're going to do one more. And since your left leg is probably the one that's filling up, just stand up on that leg. Now, if you wanted to get real traditional about it, we do the whole thing again and keep going that way, but I think I'm worried I'm going to step off the view of the camera, so we're going to go back again. We'll do 3 sets of 3 to one direction and then back. We'll do that 3 times. So here we go. Sink and shift to your left and turn your belly to the left now. The hands will go up on your left side. Your empty right heel will sneak away from your body, and we're going to flow into the right leg and back into the left. And we're just scrubbing a nice clean ring on the shower door with the scrubby in our hands. Standing up on that filling up right leg. Taking a moment to feel the feet touch the ground. And we're going to do it again. Nice. You might actually hear me breathing deeply when I do this practice. I've been told I'm a heavy breather. But by the way, there's no specific way to breathe when you're doing Tai Chi Chuan, except during one movement, which is towards the end of the practice. The most important way to breathe when you're doing Tai Chi Chuan is just to breathe. Any way that feels natural to you. If you do find, however, that your movements sync themselves up with your breathing, that's not a bad thing, really, because that's going to naturally force you to move slowly. Otherwise, you'll feel like you're hyperventilating. And that's another one of the principles of movement in Tai Chi Chuan, moving slowly, as well as softly, smoothly, continuously, circularly, because those are the ways in which the universe works best. When we're doing Tai Chi Chuan, we're just moving in the same ways that everything moves in the universe. That's one reason why doing Tai Chi Chuan makes you feel so good, is because it causes you to move in these primordial ways, the same ways that everything works in the universe, right? It's unspeakably beautiful when you do that. It feels so good. It's like you're in rhythm with everything. It's wonderful. Let's do, we're going to fast forward down to passing clouds, which is just like the movement we just did, only the hands, instead of together, they're going to move independently. Okay, so here we go. We're going to sink down. We're going to shift to your left and turn the upper body to the left. That's what causes the left hand to rise. It's like I'm high-fiving the door over there, okay, with this hand. This guy's just going to stay here until it has something to do. Actually, it has something to do now. It's called grounding. But now your right leg is probably the empty one, so let your right heel sneak away from the body to the side. And as we sweep to your right, it pulls the left hand along for the ride. And as we sweep back to the right, as you sweep back to the left, it pulls your right hand. Sometimes my mirroring doesn't work. I'm going to shut up now and just do it. Just copy me. Remembering there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Chuan. As long as you're moving softly and smoothly and continuously and circularly, you're doing great Tai Chi Chuan. And it only gets greater from here. I'm going to do one more set. We're going to make believe that this was 6 sets, because I'm not a great counter. And just feel the body at rest here for a moment. Now let's backtrack. We're going to go back up to this nice big section of movements here. They're all related to each other. They're based on the basic pulling taffy pattern. So what's going on when you're pulling taffy is you're basically pulling soft, gooey, silky energy between your palms, almost like pulling strands of taffy apart. I used to make taffy, saltwater taffy, with my grandmother from scratch. She was a Southern lady and she had a Fannie Farmer cookbook. And when I was a kid, we used to make it. And you would literally, you would double it over and you would pull and then double it over and pull. And you could see the strand stretching out. Next time you're down the Jersey Shore, see if you can go into one of the fudge shops and ask them if they'll let you see their saltwater taffy machine. You'll see it. You'll see the strands circling over each other like this. So there's this going on when you're pulling taffy, but also what's happening when you're pulling taffy is you are shifting your weight from side to side. Okay, so it has a lot in common with carry the ball to the side and passing clouds, but there's also this thing going on. Okay, it's kind of like you're doing this actually, only you let the palms cross over each other. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're going to do it one palm at a time, one hand at a time, I should say, so you get the rhythm of which hand goes where. Sink and shift to your right and turn your upper body to the right. And since your left shoulder is forward, that hand goes across your belly, palm up. Let your empty left heel sneak away to the side, and as you shift to the left, there goes the left hand. And then rest. And let's go back the other way, just one hand at a time now. Sink and shift and turn, and look how the right shoulder comes forward. So it's the right arm across your belly, palm up. Empty right heel goes out to the side and shift to the right. And here comes the right arm along for the ride. Let's do one more like that without me yapping. And back we go. Now we're going to add the second arm, and I think you probably already figured out what's going to happen with it. Pull the taffy. Yeah. And back again. Pulling the energy between the palms. Feel the body at rest for just a moment. Now let's do the first variation of that movement. Many people just call it anchor taffy. You could call it pulling taffy variation number 1, anchor. That's the traditional name, but anyway, it's just like the one we just did, only with one little variation. So here we go. The other arm just glides up on top, but instead of to the side, the empty heel goes forward, and since the belly is turned, so is the front toe. It's like a little pigeon toed there. Glide forward, but then change your mind and come back. And now we're going to go to the side, just like we normally would for taffy. Glide to your left. As you glide to your left, here comes your right arm, and then the left arm on top. Empty foot goes forward. And now we're going to go back towards the right. I think it's safe to say that all Tai Chi Chuan movements are kind of like slow-mo walking, or thinking you're going to walk a certain direction and then in slow motion changing your mind. And now remember that Tai Chi Chuan is a practice of very little effort, the effort of no effort actually, if you can get away with it. So in all the taffy movements, I often see a lot of extra work inserted by a lot of my students. So see if you can just let your upper arms hang down by your sides. I'm going to give you an example of what not doing the movement with the effort of no effort will look like. That's a lot of effort, right? Versus, nice. Let's do the forward half of the movement with very little effort, the effort of no effort if you can. And go back the way we came with the effort of no effort. And just feel your feet touching the ground. We normally do 3 sets of variation number 1. Let's do variation number 2. Many people just call it wrist circles taffy. Okay. We're going to sink down and to the rear and then shift forward and a little bit up. And it's just about lengthening the knees and letting them be soft. Now, while we're down there on the 3rd repetition, we're just going to flow over to your right and then just float on over to your left. That weight shift that's going on in your body, your fingertips just mimic it. When you drop, so do the fingertips. When you come forward, so do the fingertips. Now on this 3rd one, while you're down, you also turn to your left and it sweeps the arms together and then it sweeps them apart. Good. I'm going to do this one with really big arms so you can see what the effort of no effort does not look like. That is not the effort of no effort. This is the effort of no effort. There we go. Little. Little. Sometimes less is more. I'm going to do one more set from the side so you see this up and downness to this movement. Here we go. Nice. Oops, I forgot to mirror. So I'll just talk you through it. Then you're going to sink and rise and sink and rise. Sink and stay down, flow all the way over to your left and then back to your right. And just flow back to the soles of your feet. And allow yourself to be where your feet are for just a moment. Awesome. Or I guess I should say, I forgot to unmirror the mirror when I turned sideways. Now let's do the 3rd variation of pulling taffy. Many people just call it perpetual motion. Okay, so it's just like the regular pulling taffy gesture, only we don't stop. Okay, let's do a couple of sets of it one hand at a time so you get the hang of it, and then we'll add the 2nd hand in. So here we are. We're just going to sink down, shift and sink and turn to your right and see how the left arm naturally flows across the belly. And as you turn to your left, here comes your right arm. Remember how I said a moment ago, it's sort of like you're just turning from side to side and letting the weight shift flip your arms around for you. That's what we're doing here. The only other thing is, this time you're flowing so much into your right leg, the left heel actually hovers for a minute, and then you just put it right back down again. Otherwise, it's exactly like all the other movements without stopping. Okay. Now we're going to add the other arm here. And somewhere in the middle, the hands just change places. And they don't even slide that far apart. By the time they get about this far, they have to start sliding back together again, or you'll have to race to get them back together, right? So we don't want you to have to race. And the hand gesture gets a little bit littler, actually, even when you're doing perpetual motion tapping. We're going to call this set number 9, and we're going to flow back to the soles of the feet right now. Feel your body at rest. Nice. Let's do working the pulley. Okay, here we go. This move is so awesome because it's forward, back, and side to side. Cool. Here we go. We're going to sink down and shift to your right. So your empty left leg can extend. Because the left leg is extended, the left hand goes up to the shoulder, just like in push-pull. The other palm faces the sky. And you probably already figured out that we're going to flow forward into the left leg, and this hand will go along with it, right? But we're also going to turn the upper body kind of away from that forward reaching left arm. And look what happens to this elbow when that happens. Up. It just kind of flows behind my body a little bit without any effort. So that will enable this arm to get back there and move around without any work. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Just copy me. Here we go. Nice. Many people say that this reminds them of swimming. But I think it's much more akin to, you know how you move in a dream sometimes, very slow-mo. Or let's say you suddenly encountered the thickest fog you have ever seen. And you're just flowing through it. You can't see through it, so you're going to move very slowly so as not to bump into anything. And you feel the resistance on your hands and your palms and your fingers. The slightest resistance of incredibly thick air. We're going to do one more set here. Nice. Let's do the other side. I know I cut a lot of the movements that have 9 repetitions down to 6, but I didn't want to short shift some of these slightly more complex yet profound movements. I mean, when you figure out how to do some of these movements, it's indescribable. It just feels so good, especially when you're in a group of people. Oh my gosh. Moving in unison with a group of people while all doing these gestures, it's just, for me, it's indescribable in English words. Let's do one more. Maybe one of these days I'll learn a little bit more Chinese. I'll be able to describe it in Chinese, but it still won't help me tell you what I think about it. Let's do light at the top of the head, light at the temple. Here we go. Scoop up a little chi, let it track all the way up to the top of the head. Again, it's sort of like you're praying, only with bird flaps its wings, you're down here. Now you're up here. If this hurts anything by the way, if this hurts anything, just drop your hands down in front of your face. Okay. So here we go. We're going to sink and rise the same way we did when we were doing wrist circles, Taffy. And the hands are sort of like windshield wipers here. Now you're going to mix forward, pull your energy up and out of the crown of the head, and let your palms brush by each other and kind of mix your energy with the cosmic soup up there for about 6 seconds, and then hold for about 6 seconds. And sink, and rise, and sink, and rise, and sink. Hands are going to circle all the way around. You're going to kind of fold the energy in on yourself, right hand into left, and just feel your body at rest for a moment. Now let's do light of the temple. It's the second half of the same move. Hands up to the monkey mind. Here we go. Sink and rise. Contract, expand. Put down roots and then bloom, right? Now distract the monkey mind for about 6 seconds. Then hold for an equal length of time. And sink and rise and sink and rise. One more time. Now here's the other exception to the it doesn't matter what order you do them in rule. If you do light at the top of the head, light at the temple, you should always follow it with joyous breath. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to turn slightly sideways so you see how this is done. You're going to step out a little bit to your left. It's the same setup for your feet as it was for rocking motion, by the way. You're going to sink down and you're going to draw in breath through your nose as you rise, and the palms are going to rise too. And then you're going to push all the air out of your lungs through your nose with your lips closed while making kind of a sound only with your lips closed. It sounds like this. And you're going to do it in 4 chunks. So here we go. Let's do it again. Again. And bring your left foot back in to meet the right. You probably figured the reason why we always do joyous breath after the lights, is because this is a very grounding movement. You probably could figure that out while you're doing it. And this is very woo-woo and very up there. So we don't want to leave all your energy up there in the cosmic consciousness. We want to keep it nice and in the soles of the feet. Now we already did passing clouds. Let's do 6 healing sounds. Very interesting move. I could probably teach for a whole hour just on 6 healing sounds. We don't have time for that though, so I'm just going to do it and you're going to mimic it, okay? By the way, the sounds are, if you were going to say them out loud, they would be ho, hu, su, sh, she, chui. But when we do the 6 healing sounds, we don't say them, we use the dantian to kind of like push them out. So if you were holding your hand in front of your mouth and put your hand on your dantian, instead of ho, you would say ho, and you would feel breath on your hand, and you'll feel your dantian kind of clenching. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with the left hand on the left foot first and the sound ho. And you come back, you actually lift up the front foot and you go forward again with the sound hu in both hands. And now we're going to sweep to your left with the sound su. Su. Now the right hand, the right foot only, sh, sh. Both hands, shi, shi. Sweep back to your right with a chui. Chui. Now just let your left foot, your left hand come forward because they're empty anyway. Now both hands. Now you want to sweep to your left, so just turn to the right and the foot becomes so empty. Just place it out there. Now the empty foot comes forward with a sh, sh. Both hands, shi, shi. Empty foot moves out to your right with a chui. Chui. Here we go. Left hand, left foot. Both hands. Sweep to your left. Right hand, right foot. Both hands. Sweep back to your right. Now we're going to do continuous sweeps. This is just like perpetual motion taffy. With the foot actually peeling itself off the floor. One more. Soles of the feet. Feel your feet touching the ground. And we're going to do the very last movement. It's called Cosmic Consciousness Pose. It's not even a movement, it's a pose. I never mirror it because we only do that on one side and it feels so weird to me to do it on the opposite. So here we go. We're just going to feel the feet touching the ground. You're going to lift your left heel and very lightly place it down on your right ankle. But you haven't shifted your weight. You've still got all your weight in the right foot and just the ball of the left. Okay? And then the hands rise till the forearms and hands are about the height of the shoulders. And the fingertips overlap. The left hand is the one that's closer to the heart. If you're confused about that, It's the hand on the same side as the sticky out knee. And we're just going to hang out here for a couple of moments. Just feeling the feet under the ground, under the feet. If you feel like it, just notice all the energy that's always around you, whether you notice it or not. And just notice yourself right there in the middle of it all. And then flow back down to the soles of both feet touching the ground. And while you're there, let's do a few more moments of mindfulness with my singing bowl. Find a little spot to focus on in there with your mind's eye, with your awareness. Maybe the same spot as you focused on before. And this way you can sort of take your metaphysical temperature. Where are you at now compared to where you were before we started, right? And we'll begin by calling the bell once again. Here we go. I think I actually rang that 4 times this time by mistake, but I didn't mean to. So how are you feeling? Are you more relaxed than you were when we started? I bet you are. And you know what? Even if that was challenging, I can almost guarantee you it's the easiest challenging thing you've probably ever encountered, right? So just do Tai Chi. Do it all the time and let your own experience be your guide, okay? The coolest thing about COVID, I can't even think of many cool things about COVID, but the one I'm about to tell you is the coolest thing I can think of, is I got really serious about putting a huge quantity of really high quality content on my YouTube channel and my website. So you do not have to tune in here every other week to do Tai Chi with me live. You can actually just go right to my website or my YouTube channel and just dial me in any old time you want. That's the cool thing about the internet. It's 24/7, right? But there's so much cool stuff going on here at Cancer Support Community. You may just want to dial me back in pretty much every other week. For now, we're still doing second and fourth Wednesdays of the month, 12:30. We may switch to 12 at some point next year, but for now we're still 12:30. Again, I'm Jessica Lewis, and I'm a lifestyle coach. I blend personal training with nutritional counseling and moving meditation, mostly Tai Chi. And I'm the founder of a company called Sculpt Your Life. Google me, search me, look for me, any way you want to spell it, Jessica Lewis, Sculpt Your Life, and up I'll pop. And thank you so much for coming back again today, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.